A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. In this video we're going to be detailing this gorgeous Porsche 911 991 GT3 RS in lava orange. Now this car's been on a road trip around Europe. It's picked up a lot of road film, dirt and bugs, and it needs a deep cleanse. So here in these clips, guys, you can see that road film and rubber that's on some of the surfaces of the car. So really this is going to need a deep cleansing. Now most of this car does have paint protection film on it, which also is something that's going to help us clean the car, but we have to be mindful of it, especially when we're doing the pressure washing. We also need to be mindful of these alloy wheels and clean them in the most suitable way. But you can see we've got this kind of film of dirt everywhere. Our contact wash shampoo will be Koch Chemie GSF, and we'll be using these EZ brushes and the Detail Factory tyre brush. You can see the temperature's around 15 degrees today, but it's quite sunny, and we do have to be a little bit mindful of that. Before we do our snow foam pre-wash, I just want to get some of the detergent, this is Bilt Hamber Touchless, on the undercarriage of the car and in the alloys so that they can soak out without drying. I'm going to clean those separately and then do the pre-wash afterwards. So I try to do all this bits before pre-washing, then there's a good chance the pre-wash will dry. I'm also using this 90-degree jet wash attachment. It just allows me to get under the wheels and the arches and the undercarriage and blast off a lot of that grime. Because if you see the dirt on the top of the car, then the underside of the car is always going to be twice as dirty as all the bits that you can actually access. So it's really important, I think, to get underneath the car and clean a lot of this dirt off while you're doing this detail. We'll also be using a citrus pre-wash spray, which is called Autoglanz Spritzer. And a citrus is really good on bug splatter, so we'll be using that here prior to the snow foam going down. The snow foam will also help to stop it dry out. Now citrus contains a component called D-limonene, which is an organic mild solvent derived from orange skin. And that solvent helps break down things that are not easily emulsified by surfactants. So here you can see we're going on now with the snow foam, which is Bilt Hamber Touchless at around 2% PIR, which is a really powerful product in terms of breaking down road film. But the good thing about Bilt Hamber Touchless is it's completely safe. It's just surfactant. It's non-caustic. It's not going to cause any materials that are sensitive to alkalines and stuff like that to go white, or it's not going to be corrosive to any metals or any components on the car and any plastic trim. It's just a very powerful but safe pre-wash, and you've heard me recommend it many times, and I trust it so much. I know it's the ideal chemical to use on especially on a high-end car like this. And here you can see that pre-wash soaking out, softening down the dirt, so that basically most of that dirt will come off during that pre-wash jet wash phase. And you can see here it's also softening down those little bits of rubber that are on the body panels. So now we're just jet washing the car down. We're using an Ava Master P80 pressure washer that's got a good amount of power. So you're just seeing me stay back a little bit from this car, especially with the PPF on it. What I don't want to do is lift up any of the edges and get underneath the edges with the pressure washer. So you always can go back a little bit more when you've got when you're pressure washing a car with a paint protection film. But here you can see how effective it is at softening all those bug guts. So our pre-wash here is really working well on all that heavy stuff, and you want most of it off of the car before you contact wash. So there you see the side that's been jet washed versus the side that hasn't. Imagine then scrubbing all of those bugs around that get stuck in your wash mitts, and they're the sort of things that can scratch the finish on your car. So that's where pre-washing comes into play, and it's a very easy way of getting dirt off of the car without you having to sort of like, you know, remove it with contact. So I always find a good pre-wash is really, really important. And to clean these sensitive satin finish alloys, we're just going to carry on using the citrus wash, again at about 5 to 10% PIR, somewhere around there. The centre caps of these Porsches, I think they're anodised, and I've also seen lots of those where they've not been cleaned properly and they turn white, and once they go like that, you can never get them back. And the same for the centre section of the brake disc as well. So a citrus is really an appropriate chemical for this type of finish. You can see most of the clever stuff is being done by the choice of brush, and those EZ brushes are ideal for getting into those tight areas between the disc and the barrel. And then we go over it with a nice gyeon wash mitt. Just make sure we've not missed any, and then rinse it down. Then we carry on going around the car using the APC and all the little nooks and crannies and get the bits that you might miss if you were just using a wash mitt. And that's the difference between a really good clean and a quick wash, isn't it? Where you take the time to get into all these places with a hog's hair brush and just clean it out properly. So we're just taking a little bit of time to do this so that the entire car should be really, really clean. And it's the same deal for the front of the car, guys. The dirt gets all in these bits of trim at the front. So we need to kind of deep clean them. We're also preparing them to put on some sort of ceramic dressing over them, because that will just last the longest. We'll also clean underneath on this carbon fibre bonnet and just perhaps use a little bit of ceramic detail spray just to have some protection on that underside so that it's a bit easier to clean going forward. Nothing too clever. In fact, it's pretty clean under here, but we want to get it absolutely spotless, so we're just spending the time to do this bit properly. Now we're on to the contact wash, guys. And you've heard me say a few times recently that after I've done the pre-wash with Touchless, if there's any left in the lance, I like to use it for a contact wash as well, because I find it rinses off the car nicely. I find it's nice and slick, it's deep cleaning, and yeah, why not? But we do have some GSF in the bucket as well, so we're not going to be short of detergent on this. You could do one or the other, guys. It really is down to personal preference, but the main thing is I don't want any soap stains, so I don't want to kind of let any of this stuff dry. But I also want the detergent to be there so that when I'm going over the surfaces, it saves me having to go to the bucket all the time, picking up kind of more material. So it's just saving me a little bit of time. If it was getting even more hotter though, then you have to be slightly careful about this kind of method right in the middle of summer. But it looks hot today, but as we showed you earlier on, it's only 15 degrees inside the garage and probably less than 20 outside. So the sun didn't really cause us any major problems. As you can see here, I'm just taking my time to go round the car. I've always tend to have a hog's hair brush in one hand and the wash mitt in the other. It's just important, I think, to try and get to and clean every single panel on the car, because we're trying to do, you know, a proper deep clean on this rather than just a 5-minute kind of wash. So we took the time to get at everything. It's just a case of a final rinse down, guys, before we then need to dry the car and get it inside. So I use a combination of a drying towel and this blower. The blower just gets most of the water out of all the little nooks and crannies without blowing dust anywhere. So it's not that powerful, but I've actually worked out that might be better for what I like. So I think this is a good tool, and it just makes cleaning all these little intricate bits a lot easier and a lot quicker. Once you've blown the water out of most of the panels, then you can quickly go around with your drying towel and get the water off all the panels that are facing the sun and all the bits of glass that are facing the sun. And once you've done that, the risk of then getting those tiny little water spots disappears, and you're home and dry, literally and metaphorically. I always feel once you get the car inside that the real hard labour part of it's done, and then more of the intricate kind of detailing things follow after that. So you can see here we're peeling off some of these vinyl stickers. We did notice on the PPF on the bonnet that the bugs have etched it. Now this PPF is old and it was done by someone else, but I've spoken to the owner and he's going to pop it down to Mike at Fresh Lads, who's just going to see if he can improve this splatter by using a little bit of heat. But we're not sure what PPF product it is, so we don't know if it will work or not. Either way though, the PPF is there to absorb that punishment. So if there is a bit of etching from the bugs in the PPF, well then the PPF's done its job. We're going around the car now as well, and we're using Koch Chemie GSF, which is an adhesive or tar and glue remover. I always just tend to spray this into the cloth and then work it over those little bits of rubber. and they come off immediately. And now you can see us dressing the tyre using this new carpro applicator, which is rather nifty, and I'll be doing a review of it on the channel soon. And we're using it with the gyeon Tyre Express, which is, you can use that with the tyres still kind of got a little bit of water on it, which is nice. It kind of thins the product out. And you can also, I find, leave the excess of gyeon Tyre Express on the tyre, and it kind of melts and fades into the tyre later on. So if you're not driving the car, I like to leave that dressing on there. And here you can see us using the DIY detail interior ceramic, just to really provide something a little bit more durable than your normal run-of-the-mill dressing all over this trim that is under the front bonnet. So hopefully that'll make a difference, and we'll get a good opportunity to see what this ceramic dressing really offers in terms of longevity. And as I mentioned earlier on, I'm just using the gyeon quick detailer, or the ceramic quick detailer, to put some protection under the bonnet here. With the exterior plastics, guys, I'm using the Autoglym vinyl and rubber dressing, which I find leaves a really nice finish on the car, and it's really idiot proof. You know, it's quite glossy there from the initial application. That will settle down a little bit, but it leaves a lovely satin kind of sheen on the car, and it's not difficult to use, and it's very difficult to go wrong with this Autoglym product. I'm really kind of a fan of it, and I'm interested to see how some of the other rubber and vinyl dressings in our up and coming mega test compare with it. But the main reason I'm using this is because I trust it. Now here on the exhaust, guys, I'm using the labocosmetica cronus on the inside of those exhaust tips to decarbonise all of the soot. On the outside, it looks like a matte black finish, so I can't use any polish without really removing material from the finish. So I'm just going to use the Bilt Hamber cleanser fluid on a microfiber to do my best to try and clean those matte finishes in a non-abrasive way. Yeah, and as you can see here, guys, we're just spraying the cleaner fluid onto the microfiber, and then we're just going to clean that surface, which is going to improve it. It won't perfect it, but it will just make it a little bit cleaner, which helps make the exhaust tips look better. And then finally, we're just going over each panel with a little bit of gyeon ceramic detailer, just to add or top up some protection, beading and slickness. Now on to our protection, guys. So on this front windscreen, we're using the Soft 99 glaco compound to remove the remnants of any protection on this front windscreen. So it's like a glass polish. After we've used the glass polish and removed it, we've then got a proper prepped surface for our glass sealant to go onto. And then the glass sealant, guys, is the Soft 99 Glaco Ultra, their longest lasting non-ceramic glass sealant, if you like, that's built on the Fuso technology. It's very hydrophobic, it's very slick, and it's very easy to apply as well, guys. Comes in its own little bespoke applicator, so you don't have to get anything on your hands. After you've applied it, you just leave it there for about 10 minutes to dry off, and then you buff your glass to a streak-free finish, and then leave it well alone for 24 hours, and it's done. All that remains now is to give the interior a quick clean. It's not in bad shape in here, so we vacuum out any dust and dirt. We just used small amounts of APC on a very soft tip brush to just lightly clean the surface of any Alcantara and any leather bits, and we just use this toothbrush here to go around all the edges of these pedals that get very, very dirty. And then we bust out our Spot Wash Max and do some extraction on all the carpets and upholstery in the car. And the floor mats, of course, guys. Always the driver's floor mat is probably the most dirty bit of carpet in any car, and that benefits from just spending a little bit more time on that than the rest of the carpets and really doing a deep clean and extraction on it so that that bit is very, very fresh. We then got to apply some leather protectant to the leather sections of these seats, which are now older than 8 or 9 years old, I believe, so they benefit from a little bit of conditioner, which is going to help just keep the leather a little bit softer and supple and prevents it from kind of drying out and cracking. It's all in very good condition in this car, and hopefully this work will just maintain the lovely condition that these seats are in. Then finally guys, a little bit of the designer fragrance air freshener in the car. We're also going to cover any of the components like the seat and the steering wheel and the footwell, just because they've got damp from extraction, so it will make the drive home better for the owner. We've also got a copy of the Pro Detailers magazine, volume 11 there for the owner to read. The final thing is to hand the car back over to its owner, and it goes back to its home lovely and clean and shiny. It has been an absolute privilege to work on this car. It is just gorgeous. The build quality is amazing. It looks amazing. It was so cool to have it in my garage, and I felt slightly sad as it drove away, but maybe one day I'll get one of these if I'm lucky enough. Really, really cool car. And finally guys, all the products that we've used in this video I will list in the description. And if you've got any questions about any of the processes or anything we've done, please put them in the comments. Take care.